Secretary of State John Kerry has done the almost impossible and got the Israelis and the Palestinians to sit down again and start talking, something they have not been doing since the fall of 2010. The understanding is to convene every 2 weeks in either Jerusalem, Ramallah or Amman. Needless to say, at this stage, the expectations on both sides are very low, but they play nice because of the pressure of the Americans on them. We asked our experts what they thought are the chances this round of peace talks will result in something different than the previous ones. The onstart of the talks between the Israelis and the Palestinians is a dramatic development, but everyone is treating it with a lot of caution.
We've been in this movie many times. I'm so sorry for the last 40, 50 years and even more than it. But this time it seemed that we are going the same thing as it was before, because we are talking about peace, we are talking about some problems that are still the conflict between the two people. I'm talking about Jerusalem, I'm talking about the West Bank and the settlement, I'm talking about the refugees, and I'm talking about the borders of Israel, the east border of Israel. Nothing was happened, nothing was changed. The same ethos of the same people, the Israeli people and the Palestinian people. On the contrary, the conflict became to be more religious and not just ethnic, national and territorial one.
Professor Avram Diskin from the Hebrew University says there's a big misconception of the whole conflict as the outside world sees it.
Everybody believes it's because of the Israelis, it's because of the settlements, which is nonsense, of course. All the area of the settlements combined is not more than 4% of all the area in question. I think that for the first time, Kerry really understood that the pressure should be put on the Palestinians in order to make some movement. And I'm sure that promises made by him, made by the Europeans, made by Israel, we don't know everything that was there before the talks, persuaded the Palestinians to come to the table.
Without the American putting a lot of pressure on both sides and babysitting the whole process, nothing will happen, our experts predict.
You need pressure all the time on both sides. Meaningful pressure, serious pressure, like the UN threat on accepting the Palestinians as a member state, like the EU threat on boycotting Israeli activities in the territories, and American insistence on working on the borders based on 67, it will not happen without it.
Alon Liel claims the only people who believe something good can come out of the current round of talks are people from outside the region.
The only ones that still believe it can happen are people outside the region. Not the Israelis, not the Palestinians, and people in Europe, in the United States, in the international community. I think they're correct, but they will have to make it. They will have to make it because of the despair, and as a result of it, of the indifference among the sides here. But in order to save it, you have to push hard.
Although it is called the peace talks with the Palestinians, the former Director General of the Israeli Foreign Ministry claims the talks are, at this point, only about the West Bank.
Israel is not ready to consider the Hamas as a partner. We are speaking now only to Abu Mazen. We're speaking with the 2.5 million Palestinians in the West Bank. The 1.5 million in Gaza are not part of the game at this stage. At this stage, even if Abu Mazen will say, I represent them too, they immediately will say, no, he doesn't. And they're against the talks. So we are in any case, if it will be a Palestinian state created in Washington in this round of talks, it will be a West Bank state.
These talks are a bold move which both leaders are going into without the support of their own people, admits Shaked.
Netanyahu is fighting now against the Likud. That's his big problem now, that his real opposition is in the Likud itself, people from his party, and they are making the problem. And he's going alone, exactly like Abu Mazen. Every one of those leaders are going alone to negotiation without any legitimization of both sides, not of the people, people, not of their party, and not even of the, let's say, the community of the Jewish people outside the country or the community of the Palestinian people outside Palestine.
The scenario of what will happen if this round of talks will fail is something most people rather not talk about, at least for now.
If we will not be able to separate, we'll end up with an Israeli-Palestinian state, if you want, kind of a federation, in which we'll have two types of citizens. Citizens, the Israelis, with full rights, and citizens, the Palestinians, with quite a lot of rights, but probably not the right to vote in the general elections. If it will so happen that they will be allowed to vote in the general elections, then it will not be a Jewish state, because then you will have at least 4 million Palestinians voting in the general elections, and about 6.5, maybe by then, million Jews, and it'll be a different country.
I know, and I'm sure that most of the people of Israel today and most of the Palestinian people understand that the two-state solution is the only vision that we can be in the future. How to get to this solution, that's the problem.
So although expectations for the talks are very low, everyone realizes nonetheless that if this round of negotiation fails, it will most likely mean a game changer for the whole process, which outcome no one can really predict. For JN1, I'm Ron Jacobsohn in Tel Aviv.